next one, really big one.
Firing them out here.
I've got loads. I think it's such an important topic because respect, certainly amongst, I don't want to again sort of tarnish or raise a problem, but certainly amongst men, I think respect is huge, and it's different types of respect for men and women. And I think it should be. And I think both are amazing in their own ways, but we're obviously both very different. You know, men at the minute, it's a tough one to go down, but that respect I don't feel is being earned by the women themselves either, because the men aren't even respecting themselves anymore. And that's the problem. So the next point that I'm sort of getting to is to earn respect or to command respect, you've got to have respect in yourself for your appearance, the way you look, your own personal health, your personal hygiene, even for that matter, you know. And it's true, like you see people walking around nowadays, and honestly, it blows my mind how people can even step outside the door dressed and looking the way they do. And we were so fortunate to be brought up with a family that, you know, a mom was really good at this, where she was saying, you know, make sure that your nails are cut, your teeth are clean, you look presentable, and you're not going out looking like a bit of a slob. And there's nothing wrong with that. We all have days where we just nip to the shops, and that's fine. But there's no excuse for ever not brushing your teeth or sticking some deodorant under your arm or having clean shoes or clean clothes. You know, even if you're stepping out quickly, you know, I'd never leave the house with dirty shoes and dirty clothes. I'd always look presentable because I've got respect in myself.
I think it's any of those things, it's the exception, not the rule, isn't it? That, you know, if you're ever going to do these things, like say, everyone's going to do it every now and again, but yeah, hygiene, looking, I mean, again, with Dad, is the same, you know, with shoes and shining shoes. Used to be like, you need to get your polish out, you need to shine your shoes, that you can't go out in them, can't go out in them. So I think, you know, it comes from above, and it comes from the people that you surround yourself with, whether it's your parents or friends. And if you're in the wrong crowds, you're more likely to be on the side of, you know, probably not getting respect rather than being in the right crowds and trying to, you know, spot each other and say, oh, probably wouldn't go out like that, mate. You look a bit dodgy today.
That's a good point. But I mean, I've just touched on it, and I do feel sorry for some of the women nowadays that have to look at these blokes. And I'm talking as a man, because I don't want to get myself in jail if I was to say this about women, because I do think they could do with, you know, taking a bit more care of themselves as well. Not all of them, some of them. But blokes in general, we've lost this sort of desire to want to be respected and to care about how we look. And, you know, I see it depends on your circles, because obviously all of my friends, pretty much all of them, they're big on, you know, looking after themselves and looking presentable and being a gentleman and commanding that respect. But again, I feel for the people, certainly the women, that have to put up with those guys that aren't looking after themselves and they're not commanding that respect. So like you said, I think a big one is just take a look in the mirror from time to time and just have a bit of a critical evaluation of what you see.
Yeah, try and cop a look in a window of a car and just say, oh, bloody hell, I need to sort my air out. The wind's been blowing a bit too much. But yeah, I mean, like you say, with that, some people complain about not getting second dates. You were going down that road, and it's like, you know, well, did you hold the door open? Did you sort of, you know, pay for the date? And did you do, you know, these things that are just chivalrous that used to be the norm that aren't anymore? And then obviously the answer to all that is then no. And then obviously it ends up being that, you know, you think, well, she didn't want to see me again, or he doesn't want to see me again. And it's like, well, you've not got any respect from the person you've just gone and met.
If you think about what men used to be, and I keep using men because I am a man, so I can only talk from my own experience, and I don't want to talk about something that I don't know about. But, you know, men used to dress in suits and, you know, fancy hats everywhere you go. You know, you only have to look at, you know, the Peaky Blinders series that everybody fell in love with. I mean, I've got to be honest, it's something like the coolest stuff that those guys were wearing. I don't know, some of it obviously it's easier in Hollywood, we'll call it, on TV and media, where they're creating sort of custom outfits. But, you know, that's what people were wearing, you know, suits and ties and shirts. And, you know, it's gone are the days now, you know, where lads are wearing trousers halfway around their arses and dirty shoes with like hoods up and masks on, doing stupid gun signs with their fingers. And again, Sort your lives out. What are you doing? And genuinely, most people, because I know from school where you look back and you think, like, we all went through that stage at school, and you try and conform to the group that are around you. So it is tough to break away from, the things that your friends are doing. But that's another great way of commanding respect, is going against the grain, doing what you think is right because you're so confident in your own conviction and self-belief, where you think this is the right way to behave. That in itself commands so much respect, because you're not just conforming to what everybody else thinks you should be doing.